What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. OG here, and I wanted to go over what makes the best players in the game the best players in the game, right? Or as we go through and the power curve changes, which it absolutely is slower this year, but as we move towards the icons and the top heroes being in teams and outside of the whales who get them pretty much instantly, but the regular players, right? Each time we go through the top players at each point in the game, which right now I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of what you would consider top players in many of the positions on the pitch, right? Because I grinded, played in tournaments, earned enough FC points to get a good head start, and then I have enough experience with the market, buying, selling at the right time. I'm not the best at it, but I'm able to always put together a great team. Not to mention, I firmly believe that the market is fun and all, but the main thing should be getting the players you want on the pitch, right? There's people nowadays that buy the game just for the market, and they barely hit the pitch with these players. Everything's about buying and selling and gaining coins as opposed to getting great deals or even just whatever it costs to get the players that you want, even if you lose some coins. So we're going over the best players based on their performance on the pitch. And you are going to see through some of these highlights exactly what I'm talking about. Not to mention, when you play against some of these players, you are going to recognize some of these things that make them so good. So let's start in the back. Oliver Kahn, right? He's a keeper we see a lot because he was part of the Ultimate Edition icons. One of the icons you could pack. I was one of the people that packed them. Was that the marquee pick that you wanted? No, of course, if you get R9 or Henry or even Sissy's amazing. Players like that, but Kahn is my favorite goalie ever, and fortunately, EA Sports did a great job with him. He makes some incredible saves, and it's not by chance, guys. There's other keepers that can do it, most likely, even though I do believe in a secret icon boost, right? I believe it's stat related, but everyone calls it the icon aura. I truly believe that icons have a little bit something extra underneath the stats. I truly believe it, which is what leads people when they're playing with different icons to say they're icons. They play like icons, right? That's what that means. And you can definitely tell, but I think underneath it, the science behind it, the math behind it, is stat boost. But the math behind why Kahn is so good is right here. 1v1 close down, and in particular, far reach. This one is what stands out. This will help you out in certain instances, even though Kahn's not a speed demon off the line, right? When he's coming out on one-on-ones, he will have some favorable outcomes that other keepers wouldn't. It's as simple as that. But far reach is the one that many of you notice. If you scroll through the comments, you're always going to get people with keepers saying how bad they are, but it's really a reflection of them, right? Sometimes your keeper just can't do anything. But of course, you're going to blame the goalie. It's kind of like real life. Like your team defended terribly, gave up the chance, and maybe the goalie didn't do the best, but your defending is what allows them to get these open shots, right? And that's many times why people say this keeper's terrible or that keeper. Every keeper is going to give up goals. It's going to happen. But what about the opportunities? This is how I measure goalies. When you've already counted your opponent is scoring, right? You come to terms with the fact that you messed up or you didn't defend well and your opponent's going to score, and boom, your keeper makes a great save. That's Oliver Kahn, and this is a big reason why. On top of his aura as an icon or his secret stat boost, as I would like to think it is, as I truly believe it is, right? I wish he had sweeper keeper, although many do like goalkeeper. I like my keeper coming off the line and being pushed up as much as possible because there's going to be certain instances where you can come off your line, and if you have a little bit of head start, it could be the difference between taking the ball off of a striker's foot on a breakaway and them scoring. But nonetheless, goalkeeper and balance works just fine with the plus, and this far reach just makes him, on top of all the stats and everything else, just makes him an incredible keeper. So if you didn't pack Kahn, but down the road you get a chance to get him. I'm not saying Buffon's not amazing or Van der Sar this year or Schmeichel, but playstyle-wise, which I've always said this, for keepers, that's the most important, and Kahn has the best playstyles, without a doubt. If I could add one to him, it would just be this footwork. because if you watch, like for instance, Bono, he always has footwork, and if you see how he has these extra animations where a ball that would slide past him typically, or slide past many goalies typically, he'll stick his foot out and save it. So if I could add one, it would be footwork. But nonetheless, Oliver Kahn, incredible keeper. Definitely what you would call a meta keeper this year. And trust me, there are some that are not meta keepers, that just don't have that extra quote unquote aura about them. Moving on to right back and left back, we're going to do this combined. As you can see, I have two women, right? Previous to this, I think I still have them in the squad. Let's check. But previous to this, I had Mindy and Udogi, both depending on what I needed for Kim. They're both beasts at left back. And then I had this James card at right back, right? Very good cards. You see James is lacking a little bit in pace, but that 84 defense, 84 physical for the time that SBC came out, by the way, was incredible. And he still could play and hold his own, but just like with Udogi and Mindy a little bit, but less than James, right? They're a little bit heavy. And now with how good the dribbling is this year, with jockeying being not as good, which, by the way, jockeying gets a buff here soon at the end of October, they said. But until they do that, and even once they do, these women defenders are incredible, right? Bomb Pastor just always is stuck to the winger no matter how shifty they are. She's right on top of them. She'll make tackle after tackle that other wingbacks won't make. And Charles is much of the same. A little bit less, I would say, like shifty and more just good, strong defensive principles. She's just a smaller player. That's the only thing you have to worry about with these women's wingbacks are the crosses to the back post. You won't face too many players like this. When you do, it's typically the rats that just try to run through you with their Holland or their Gyökeres or one of those type of players. Of course, they'll add in the back post cross to their arsenal, and you will get cooked, right? If they put a bigger winger out there against your Bomb Pastor or even Charles, you're going to get cooked. But that's the one downside. There's so many upsides to having these smaller, compact wingbacks. Even if you go with, a male wingback, let's say, you're going to want more of a shifty, compact wingback as opposed to like Reece James. He does a very good job. Excellent wingback. If gameplay was more consistent, he'd be even better. But he's just too stiff on the ball, too stiff defending, not shifty enough. His positioning's great, his tackles and stuff are great, but when you go in, it's strictly about size, right? You got 5'4", great stats, and then of course the play styles. The only defending play style is anticipate, right? Not even anticipate plus, no defensive plus. Her plus play style is whip pass. That does come in handy sometimes, or it could come in handy, but I rarely, if ever, use it, right? Right now, the meta doesn't call for it. There's not many crosses. It'll be great to have when there are, but with the way she plays, you would think she has just about every defensive play style. And again, it just comes down to her size / body type / stats. Simple as that. You see here, she also has quick step and relentless, so she's going to last all game long, not get tired. And of course, that explosiveness, that's what she is. She's just a very explosive, small rocket, right? Some may say pocket rocket type of player. And she's a beast because of that. Same with Charles, right? You look at the stats, incredible stats. She's a little bit bigger, 5'8", but still, great body type, great stats. You look at her play styles, this makes a little bit more sense. When you see Charles defend, honestly, Bomb Pastor is exactly the same, though. And then when she has the ball, she has that explosiveness, right? But the jockey, anticipate, and of course, Aerial Fortress is huge because at 5'8", she's going to need any assistance she can get to try to win aerial balls. I will tell you, on crosses and stuff, even with Aerial Fortress, she does better. She can compete. But like a Gyökeres or a Holland or someone like that, let's say there's somebody that goes out and gets, closer, they're going to just dunk on her, which is understandable. But again, the upsides outweigh the downsides by far. So when you're looking for wingbacks, if you can't get Bomb Pastor, or you don't have Charles, or you put her in an SBC or something, small, compact. Right back, another one could be like Alex Scott. Obviously, left back, Baca. Karchawi as well, even though more people are using her in the midfield now. But those type of wingbacks are insane. If you need to get size, Mindy and Udogi, you saw it on here. Yes, they're lower rated. Hopefully they get some special cards. Keep getting, as you can see, they have those repeatable evolutions that help them. But they're just insanely good for how low rated they are. And what it is they got some size to them, but they also still have that explosiveness and that shiftiness, right? Like, for instance, if I put Reece James up against Udogi or Mindy, I have no idea exactly where their agility and balance is in comparison, but size-wise, they're around the same. Yet, Udogi and Mindy will be so much more shifty, you can tell. Like, James has a little bit of stuck in the mud feel, and both these two, Mindy and Udogi, they're incredible. So if you need some size at wingback and some good players, don't pay attention to the overall, rating. Don't even pay attention to the stats, right? These type of wingbacks. But if you wanted to go, like, for instance, there's a Dumfries. He's way cheaper than last year, but the meta has changed. So the word is, if you're to believe the comments, even though Dumfries is a beast, he can't keep up with the shifty attackers as much. And that's a problem this year. So go for these small, compact wingbacks, and that brings us to center backs. Same exact thing, right? You see here I got brand new icon, Steffi Jones. She's got the Anticipate Plus and Block, which Block is super important this year. As you're staying with defenders, once they make a little bit of room, they're going to go to shoot. And having Block or Block Plus, like the new Tamori has, is going to give them that extra little bit of room, extra animation, if you will, to get their foot just a bit further, and they're going to block a lot of shots. It's as simple as that. Having the long ball is not too shabby. Of course, precision header if I want to get her up the pitch, but she's 5'10", so that's small for a man center back, right? However, for women's center backs, we'll take it, right? 5'10", you got a Cordoba card that's incredible. It's 5'8", Cannavaro's smaller. 5'10's not too bad at all. With that lengthy body type and still being more compact, more agile, right? When you look at the attributes, 66, 68, not the best, but way better. Some of them, like Van de Ven, for instance, very good meta center back, lower rated right now, so he doesn't have a special card or anything, but his regular gold card is like 50 something, and he does just fine. But Steffi Jones, shifty, right, strong, can get up in the air if she has to, 5'10", not bad at all. Just the perfect center back for this year. The best in the game this year, bar none, right? The best in the game. Because normal players have to take into consideration the gameplay. It's not always great. And in heavier gameplay, those bigger center backs are going to be a problem. Yeah, if you're one of the top 1%er content creators and you can put any player you want. You can get Gyökeres and he's going to move better than sometimes some players messy because of how bad the gameplay is, but they never experience it. Well, then, of course, the top 1% of players that for some reason get great gameplay like all the time, they're going to have different things they look at for players and what makes them meta, what makes them top players. The women's defenders, and in this case, women's center backs, are incredible. The two that you would want the most out of the three top women's center backs, Jones, as you see here, Wendy Yannard, as you see here, who, by the way, is 6'2", also lengthy, right? Not as much speed there, but she's so shifty. She can stick with any attacker, even with the 65 agility and balance. It's just the body type, the way the women's center backs move. They're more compact. It works perfectly for where the game's at. These two, there's none better. Now, the third one would be that Georges, the French international hero women's center back. The problem is she's a little bit shorter. Not so short that you can't play her. She's around the Cordoba, Cannavaro. But the reason why I like to have a little bit of height, right, is because corner kicks, especially against these rattier players. And you'll know, if they're front line or they're attacking players, it's full of bigger players, not meta, but just all of them got size. You know what they're going to do. beeline it in a straight line, try to run through you. If not, try to get tacklebacks and try to cross. Try to get corner kicks. If you don't have some size, you are going to get dunked on at times against those bigger players. And you will come across them, and it will be frustrating because it's nothing you can do. It's just a lack of size. So Wendy Annard brings that, and then even Steffi Jones a little bit there. Not to mention Charles having the aerial fortress. It does help, right? It minimizes some of the damage that can be done from those crosses. So moving into midfield, right? Oh, and I want to say one last thing before I move to midfield. Kwanzaa and Tamori, both very, very good. Same with Vandeven even at 82 rated. Still very good. So why is Kwanzaa and Tamori over here? Well, for one, I only have one sub center back, and what do you know? It's a woman. This Morgan, obviously not the Morgan we all know. Her name is Esme Morgan, right? Beautiful name, great player. Put it that way. She is as shifty as the top two women center backs, but she wins the ball so much, man. You would not expect her to be an 83 rated player. She has the Defender Plus, right? But the main thing we're looking for, she doesn't have. When you see her playing game, you're going to go, oh, man, she has great play style. She must have Anticipate Plus, Block Plus, Jockey Plus. No, she's an 83 rated beast of a center back. None of the good play styles does she have. Like, I get Block's a good play style, but you would not pick it over Jockey, or Anticipate. Even maybe Aero Fortress or Intercept. Intercept's better this year for center backs. You would want it more in your midfielders, but still, Block's decent, and that's all she has. Bruiser, it's better now, of course, but still, it's not even Bruiser Plus. The reason why I say all that is because when you see her on the pitch, she is absolutely incredible. 69, 70 agility and balance, so right there around Jones and Annard. It's just the women's center backs, they just are different gravy this year. And Kwanzaa and Tamori, as good as they are, if they get isolated, they're in big trouble. They have next to no chance of winning the ball, right? You just can't keep up with the new dribbling, and so you have to make up for it in the type of players you get. Until when they fix jockeying, I could easily see Kwanzaa and Tamori both going into the starting lineup. They're that incredible, right? Now moving into midfield, I typically like going one, let's call it playmaking defensive mid, right? Whose primary duties are still defense, but in the attack she's getting involved. And then sometimes we'll switch her to box crasher. By the way, no box crasher plus or plus plus, but it's such a great player role. The runs they make are incredible. So even if your player doesn't have plus or plus plus box crasher, trust me, they can play it. Look at their awareness and those type of attributes, because when they get into the attack, you don't want them, suffocating your strikers or wingers looking to or taking their runs. Even though the winger's coming in, like you see a box crasher shooting through and blocking that player off who you're making the run with. Like, if they have better, attacking positioning, attacking awareness, stuff like that, they're going to do great. They're going to do even better. But the box crasher player role in particular is insane. Even though Williams doesn't have it as a plus or plus plus, you would think she does. However, she has deep line playmaker plus plus. Manu has holding CDM plus plus. Right? He can also play holding or deep line playmaker at CM. And the reason why I have him at holding instead of deep line playmaker, while I have Williams deep line playmaker build up, Manu holding defend, is because he is like another center back out there. You don't want him on the ball too much, even though he can hold his own, right? He's not quite as stiff as center backs, but he's also not as agile movement-wise as like a Williams, who is absolutely slept on and incredible. This is the type of player you want next to your holding defensive mid. If you do two build-up center mids, that's fine. I strongly suggest you make one build-up defensive, one deep line playmaker build-up, and one deep line playmaker defensive. In this case, Manu would be the defensive. But I like holding because he's always in that pocket. You always know where he's at. You always know that he's going to be that first line of defense. And with how he plays, like with that passion out on the pitch, he wins so many balls, intercepts so many balls. I mean, we look at, 5'11", controlled acceleration type, and he's got Intercept, that's it. Finesse shot, I mean, cool. Ping pass plus is definitely good for any player. Rapid, and then of course press proven can help him too when he can't immediately get out of pressure and he has to dribble at jog's pace looking for an open pass. So a player like this, a bigger player, can definitely work. You can go the Conte route, or there's an O'Sullivan card from the U.S. Women's League. I think she's Republic of Ireland. You can go the smaller route, and they're running all over the place, and they're into everything. And those players are absolutely insanely good, right? But again, I like to have a little bit of size here, since I'm sacrificing just a bit with my center backs, mainly with Steffi. We make up for just a little bit with Manu. He's no giant or anything, but he adds some size. He can hold his own in the air if he needs to, and he's insane at finding the best passing lanes, intercepting the ball, and helping us start the attack. If you can't get Manu, right, because he came from the team pass, or maybe you said, oh, he's no good and use him in an SBC, go look for players like him. He is that incredible, right? If you look at like the icon cards and I would compare is like an SCN, right? Makalele's more like a Conti. He's more like an SCN or even Vieira, right? That's more like the realm of players. I'm not comparing him to Vieira. That's like the realm of players you would get, what kind of play you would get out of Manu. Williams, a whole different ball game. Super shifty, super good on the ball. Look at the shooting and passing and even dribbling, right? For a base hero, I mean, this card is insane. She has the 72 defense, no defensive play styles, right? But she's just incredible on the pitch. 3 different passing play styles. The most important ones, though, are obviously the ping and long ball. The inventive does come in handy this year, though, right? Especially inventive plus, even in those awkward angles, she's able to pull off passes and thread the needles. So it does come in handy more than some may think. Would I prefer it over some defending play styles? Of course not. But her free kicks also, as well as corners, are also excellent. If you need to, you can take a power shot from distance. But just the way she plays is amazing, right? She's my more shifty defensive mid. She'll get in there, still win tackles, still good positioning for interceptions. She's just more my quarterback to my attack, let's call it, right? You have your back four, you have your transitional positions, which holding the 2 holding mids, even though I would say Manu clearly goes with the defense, Williams is more like 50-50 or leaning more towards offense, right? With how she sets up plays and she's involved in whatnot. So that's the type of players you want to go after. I strongly suggest you always go after a deep line playmaker type, small, compact, good dribbling, but go for that player role, deep line playmaker, plus if you can, if not plus, or at least play a player there even without the role. And then either a deep line playmaker, and then you put him on the sub focus as defend, or better yet, you go holding and defend, and that player just sits as an anchor or a protector of the back line. They sit right in front of the back line, and it's great for defense, right? Moving into the attack, I have Rodgers right now. Now, he's nowhere near the level of Hullet, but he does give you Hullet vibes. Similar to I said, Manu gives you Vieira vibes. He's a bigger player. You see he stands 6'2", right? He has the incisive pass, not plus, though. First touch plus, which comes in handy a lot more than you think. Technical, which is excellent for a bigger player. And then, of course, enforcer, which can be excellent, too. He is very nimble on the ball, very quick and shifty for how big he is. It's kind of surprising. He has good little explosiveness to him. And then just excellent passing, excellent dribbling. But with 102, his shooting becomes respectable. So you've guaranteed played against him. I guarantee he's cooked you at times. But you've probably also noticed he can get very stiff on the ball, depending on the connection. So he's one of those players you want in there. He's that good. You just got to be careful with the gameplay and have a backup ready, which for me is Goulet, right? So I don't necessarily say you have to have size at Cam, but let's just say Rodgers shows you can have a bigger player and have it work out. They don't have to be the shifty little Messis or even the Joe Coles, who's now got an SBC, so he's more in the conversations, those smaller, shifty, tricky players. No, they can be the bigger, stronger players too. It all comes down to how they play. So Rogers does a phenomenal job. If you want another bigger Cam, I'm thinking like, let's say down the road you get Socrates is one that comes to mind. Would be insane. I also like Cole Palmer a lot. He's not by any means like a Rogers type of big physical player, but he's also not that small shifty. He's kind of in between, and a player like that, Cole Palmer, his gold is already legendary, right? So this position's pretty open. You see Rogers is a playmaker plus plus. Typically, I like going shadow striker attack here, but with the plus plus roles, playmaker and classic 10 also work very well alongside the shadow striker. So just because if you have a player here that you're looking at that doesn't have that role, don't be afraid to play players outside of their roles this year because it doesn't affect them as much. And two, don't just choose a player based on the popular player role. Like for Cam, it's shadow striker. Most everybody uses it, right? Not everybody though, right? Like I'd say inside forward for wingers is more concrete, or advanced forward for striker is more concrete. But guess what? Use the roles that fit your playstyle. If you like target forward, if you like wide playmaker or winger, which also can be very effective for wingers, or Cam, you like Goulet's classic 10, or in this case, Rogers' playmaker over shadow striker, use it, right? Use what fits your playstyle. All these content creators are copy and pasting either what everyone else is saying, or they're making their tactics and sharing stuff with you based on how they want to play. Think of how you want to play, how you do play. And in that sense, Cam is more of a wide open position as far as who you get and who would be considered meta there, because everyone plays in a different way and can make different players stand out. In my case, Rogers with the Playmaker Plus Plus works perfectly. I love the passing and moving. I love playing into the feet of Rogers and then creating up, back, and throughs, giving ghosts, things like that, right? Now moving on to our wingers, what we were just talking about, right? If you look at my tactics, unfortunately, I've tried everything, right? I've tried the 4-2-3-1 wide, the 4-3-2-1, the 4-5-1, 4-4-2, everything. And it's not saying that other setups do not work, but the 4-2-1-3 is just way too powerful. The positioning of the players, along with the movement, you can't beat it, right? So you see I have the typical setup besides maybe Cam instead of Shadow Striker, Playmaker, and then two CDMs. A lot of people are going double deep line Playmaker. Some are going one deep line Playmaker, one box crasher. I have the one holding, right? But again, not out of ordinary. And then the back four is just the same as everybody else's. If your back four doesn't look like this as far as at least the roles, right? You can change. You could do like wingback versatile, fullback versatile, stuff like that. But do not touch, especially the center backs. Don't go to stopper, ball playing defender. I don't care about plus. It will mess up the positioning of your players. Hopefully one day EA Sports fixes that. But for now, this is a setup. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because it's not as much about those player roles, right, as it is about the actual type of player you choose. You could have those exact player roles, and you could choose a player that has the plus and everything, but they're one of those big, stronger players you're not used to. You're used to that shifty Salma or even Hansen, and so you struggle, right? So you're not looking at player roles at all. You're looking at the type of players, and both Hansen and Salma are shifty. They both can hold their weight as far as strength goes, right? They're not just getting knocked off the ball easy. They're not the strongest, but they have that aura about them. They have that fight in them. Selma cutting into her right foot where she has finesse shot. So she is a lefty cutting into her right here. So she'd be better at right wing based on how I use her cutting in to shoot with that finesse shot. But with 4-star weak foot, she does just fine. And the reason why she can't play on the right is because I have Hansen. I was lucky enough to pack Hansen. I've now forgot which pack it was. I was very fortunate to get it. You weren't expecting this type of card in that pack. She's just a gold card, obviously with the decorative evolutions, if you will. But you can see by her stats, she's insane. She's built to be an inside forward, right mid, or right wing. There's a playstyle. Trickster Plus is absolutely huge this year. It helps you big time in throwing off defenders. So the reason why Selma and Hansen are meta this year is simply because the dribbling is great and they're both great on the ball, right? They can both finish. They can both hold their own in battles. That's why women's players are so highly sought after in meta this year, because it's their size and body type. It's as simple as that. Stat wise, you just look for the women like a Selma, 84 shooting, 87 for Hansen. Obviously, they're in two different categories, right? Hansen's going to be one of those players that's good all the way up to team of the year, maybe even beyond. She just has it all, right? Whereas Selma, she's only 40K, and for that value, you're getting huge bang for your buck. Overall rating, it means nothing, especially this year. So, if you're a player that likes, maybe there's some players that are going after the bigger, more physical wingers. They're more lineal, right? They just play the ball down, run in a straight line and try to finish, or run in a diagonal and try to just body off defenders for either a pass or finish. Like Selma and Hansen can mix up. They can come to, get the ball at their feet, create chances for others, right? Get the ball down the line, beat people inside to cut in for a shot. They can do it all. So, is there other options? Yes. But I would say you're not going to get any better as far as model wingers to look for comparisons. Like, if you want a great winger, these two prototypes are what you would want to start with, right? Especially Hansen on the right, who is one of the best players in the game, period. And she's one of those players you're just going to have to use her in game. I mean, what? She stands at 5'9", the same as Selma. Selma's controlled. Hansen's controlled. But when you see them on the pitch, there's just a difference. A different look, a different feel in the ball. You can see the difference between 40K and 400K, which is about what the difference is. And Hansen would be much higher if the market wasn't just shot, right? So even if you can't get these two, you can almost definitely get Selma. If you can't, what are you doing, right? That's 40K. Of course, Hansen's in a whole other level, but at least you now know kind of how to compare and what kind of players that you would want there, right? And last but not least, striker. This is the craziest one for me because this Agamang came roughly in the middle of the season pass. Didn't think anything of it. Almost didn't give her a try, right? 85 rated. None of the stats like stand out like crazy. But then you put a hunter on her, right? And that acceleration goes to 93. Sprint speed goes to what? 90. Attacking positioning with the hunter goes to 90. Finishing goes to 94. Shot power goes to 90, 2? I mean, that's insane. And so you put a hunter on her, you get her on the pitch, and then you realize another thing. Check out her acceleration type. She's lengthy at 5'7". If you don't know what that looks like, when she gets a ball and she's running in, players will think they can catch up to her right there with her, and next thing you know, those big long strides just take off and she's through on goal. Now, 3-star is not enticing, but I was able to give her the Game Changer Plus, which if you have a striker that doesn't have at least a 4-star weak foot, this Game Changer Plus is a godsend, right? It turns what would be bad weak foot shots into great Trivela shots. So, added that, but even if I didn't, even before this Game Changer Plus was added, 3-star weak foot, you could barely tell. She was scoring goals left and right, but she is one of the best strikers, listen to this, in the game. Yes, she is a free card from the season pass, but it's almost, I wonder if it was like an experiment that EA Sports dropped this card just to see who truly knew and who would give her a chance. Because there's some that put her right into SBCs, which is insane, right? She's obviously like a unique striker with the 5'7" lengthy. But then you look at the playstyles. Finesse shot and low driven. Of course, I added the Game Changer Plus. Press proven, which is huge. Rapid, which is huge, right? That higher sprint speed when she's dribbling to get just enough space to shoot. That's all she needs. And of course, the regular enforcer. I mean, these are the best playstyles for a striker, bar none. She's got all. Maybe, okay, so you would want to add like technical, first touch, and quick step. But nonetheless, a free card from the season pass, not even like the top reward, in the middle where you could easily just go, oh yeah, Agamang, and forget, which a lot of players did. You have one of the best strikers in the game. Go test her out before you laugh at me for saying one of the best in the game, right? you would take her over a lot of icons right this second, without a doubt. Now, if you didn't get her or you put her in the SBC, you can't use whatever reason, that's what I would look for mainly, is a smaller, compact, but lengthy striker. I know based on using Agumang, it makes a huge difference, right? Her ability to break away from defenders is ridiculous, and it's because of that 5'7" lengthy. Small and compact, lengthy acceleration type, and then, of course, everything else. Great stats, great everything. But you got to imagine, middle of the season pass, you get a card like this. None of the stats are like crazy good, but then you have to look at it like almost at second glance and then go, you know what, I want to give this card a try. A lot of people seen the 3-3, 3-star weak foot, 3-star skills, and said no way there, right? But shout out to everyone who did give her a chance, and for those of you who don't, your redemption is if you have her, use her, and if you don't, try to find a smaller, compact striker that's also lengthy. Very hard to find, but when you do, you will have a beast, male or female, right? If you can't get that, then of course there's two separate types of strikers, which I'll tell you where Agumang's unique. You have your bigger, stronger, more physical types like the Haaland, Gyökeres. Then you have your small, compact like a Sophia Wilson, right? Or even like a Dina Tale. Agumang, I put her in between, right? Even with the playstyles, you can see having Enforcer so she can get in those duels and win those shoulder challenges, which can come in handy. But standing at 5'7", right? She's an absolute beast. Again, if you look at the attributes, 76 agility, 77 bounds, you wouldn't guess it. And that's the same with a lot of women's players. We'll have lower dribbling. It's just insane. So that is my starting lineup. Even if you don't go out and get the exact players that I just spoke about or the exact roles, get the acceleration type, right, that these players have. Get players that are in that similar realm with their movements, with their how you want to utilize them, right? It's as simple as that. Meaning, I'm not going to have, like, let's say a Hansen, and then go to an Barbo. Could I do it? Yes. But are they two different players? I can't expect a Barbo to fill in and play like Hansen, right? Just like I couldn't expect, let's say, I don't know, say I got Zola and put him at striker. I could not expect him to play like Agumang, who is a lengthy 5'7" striker that plays in her own unique way, basically, right? She's kind of in between. But Zola would be more compact, more shifty, but he wouldn't be able to win those physical duels. And then, of course, you got Haaland or like a Gyökeres, who would be bigger and physical, be able to get in on good time through balls. But if and when you need him to be shifty some and beat defenders in close quarters, like around the box, like a lot of the meta is right now, those type of players are toast, right? Keep that in mind. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please smash that like button. And if you haven't, please subscribe. If you want to support the channel, go to the YouTube link, YouTube bio, and there's a ton of links. Whether you want merch, whether you want a membership, YouTube, Discord, we got it all. Your support means everything, even if it's just staying tuned to the channel. Thank you so much. Have a good one. See you next time. Peace.